Among the first in the fad of Navy SEALs getting out of the service and writing books was an author who wrote a book called The Lone Survivor. It's a story of a special ops team went into Afghanistan on a search and arrest mission for some terrorists, and they came across a goat herder and his two sons, and they wrestled with what they were going to do, whether they were going to tie him up and leave, which would have been a death sentence, kill him, or just let him go. And they knew that letting him go, there was a big chance that these guys were not friendly, and they would go and tell people that occupiers were in the area. They couldn't kill the kids, so they ended up just letting them go. And they went and told on them, and there was this huge influx of over 100 Afghani fighters that descended on these 6 SEALs as they were trying to exfil the area. They fought very, very bravely for a long time. Each man sustained horrendous injuries and kept fighting. On one particular RPG attack, the grenade exploded, blew up, and knocked the author off the cliff, and he fell some distance down the ravine and into a stream. The rest of his men they were gone. He was found by a member of the same nation and the same religion who spoke the same language and was the same color as the people that he was fighting against moments earlier. Taken to the village and healed, tended, cared for. He was given protection, a very sacred oath of protection by the town, that while he was their guest, he would come to no harm. Even to the point of defending him against the same people that he was fighting against. They found out that he was in this village, so they came to collect him, and the villagers said no. He's our responsibility. He's our neighbor. Right? So when we think about Jesus's articulation of this it's not a parable so much, but this story, I guess it's a parable, of the Samaritan man. You know, we oftentimes think about it in very clean, sterile ways. There's a priest walking down, and he doesn't want to get his hands dirty, and there's actually nothing wrong with that. Jesus isn't saying that this priest is being uncharitable. He's saying that this priest cannot do for the Samaritan for this wounded man what needs to be done, because he's following the law. The law is not going to save you, right? Essentially is what he's saying. He says this of the people that pass him by. But his point here is that this foreigner. Now, of course, in the story, Jesus is the Samaritan man. Jesus is the foreigner. He's the one that comes from a different place from the place where the man came from, the man who was abused. So, sorry, I didn't plan on getting into unpacking the whole story here, but the man going down from Jerusalem to Jericho is fallen humanity, right? Going from the garden, Jerusalem, to Jericho, exile into a land, a barren land, right? So this man is humanity. It's Adam. It's all of us going from Jerusalem to Jericho, beset by robbers, the devil, beaten up, our dignity stripped away, left for dead. Okay, we're going to die on our own. The priest comes along. The Jewish religion, it's accommodating for a time, but ultimately it cannot access what is damaged in humanity, and so we're still left dead. The foreigner comes, the one from outside of the nation that this man is living in, Jesus, from heaven to earth, taking our flesh, puts wounded humanity on his beast of burden, his own shoulders, the cross, carrying it to the inn Sorry, I'm trying to do this quickly. Everybody still following me, right? Okay. To the inn, the church, where he leaves money, grace, in the care of the innkeeper, Peter, to care for and the convalescence of fallen humanity, Adam and all of us, in the care of the church, governed by the innkeeper, Peter, using the money that the Good Samaritan left, grace, to heal humanity until he returns again. And if he's paid more than was given, he would be repaid on the way back. But 2 silver coins is way more than enough to bandage and to care for fallen humanity in the absence of Jesus until he comes back again. The point being, it's almost like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I've been way more generous to you than I need to. So, if you spend it, be as liberal as you want, basically, is what he's saying. Be as liberal as you want with my money, with my grace, until I come back, right? And just make sure you take care of humanity, right? That's the moral of the story here. So, but when we read that, we just think about it in such like sort of sterile terms, and we don't think as messy and violent and heart-achy and gross as Jesus means us to be, right? The closest real experience of this, who is my neighbor, that I can think of is this story, this historic account of these SEALs who get butchered and butcher. They kill over 100 Afghan soldiers, these 6 dudes. 5 of them get killed. This is a horrible battle, right? Things are blown up, blood's going everywhere. And some guy who lives in the neighborhood picks up the bad guy, the enemy, the invader, and takes him to his house simply because he's hurt. Right? And cares for him, and then fights against his own to protect him. Now, that's messy. That's complicated. But it's also as simple as it comes. Here's a person who is in need, and I can do something about it. This is God's vision of us. Here are people who don't deserve it. They're hurt. I can do something about it. I love them. I want to do something about it. So I'll send my son. I'll bring them into my own house. And I'll care for them, heal them, restore them. If this Afghani could do this for this Navy SEAL, if God could do this for fallen humanity, for whom can we not do it? It comes down to the very real understanding that a Christian needs to have, that there is not a human being in this world that is my enemy. Not a single one. There are people in this world that I may need to fight against. There are people in this world that I may need to kill. But there is no one in this world that is really my enemy. My enemy is evil. It's the devil. It's fallenness. And I will fight against that. And everybody that hurts, I will try to protect. I will try to heal. I will try to restore. Because that's what Jesus did for me. He did not look at me as his enemy. He looked at sin in me as his enemy that hurt me, the one that he loves. And so he came to do battle against that sin, not against me, against the sin. And to strip it away from me. And to replace what it had gnawed up with oil, wine, water, these substances of the sacraments, which impose in us the grace of healing. Oil, right, in confirmation, wine in the Eucharist, water in the Blessed Sacrament, in baptism. Man, if that's real, if that's true, if that's really how God understands neighbor to be, how can I look at a human person with a definition of an imaginary line that we call a border? How can I look at a person defined by a credit system that we call money, poor or rich? How can I look at a person based on their attempt or failed attempt to love God while they're trying to? They might not be succeeding because they belong to another religion. How can I let that define the way that I treat them, when the way God has treated me has shown me the exact opposite? He says, I am the definition of neighbor. The way that I treat you, my neighbor, is the way that you have to treat everyone else who is more neighbor to you than I am. I come from a really, really long way away. If I can call you my neighbor, you can call anybody that lives on this little blue sphere your neighbor too. And treat them the way that I treat you.